and I am going to tweet out our links and say that we're live.
Beautiful.
I I
I've
will
got some
be
drafts ready.
hovering over the retweet button.
Okay.
Yeah, better go retweet it right now. It starts tomorrow, gentlemen.
Yep.
Everything we've been doing all year starts tomorrow.
Okay, it's streaming now. We should be live on YouTube. Let's just pull it up to make sure. Yep, we're good. We are live. We are officially live on YouTube. So let's count this thing down and let's fire off. Three, two, one. Welcome to another episode of Voyage College Basketball. I'm going to be hosting the program today as we get into the bracket NCAA tournament preview show. I'm Cam Erickson, and I've got a full set of co-hosts here with me tonight. Johnny Dittman, spread inspector Ryan Kane, and our guy Ray Lordy, who just got back from boots on ground in Vegas, witnessed something spectacular from the New Mexico Lobos, and we're excited to get into all of it. Johnny, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well, brother. Just enjoyed a fantastic Italian dinner, and I'm ready to talk about this bracket.
Kane?
I'm glad I'm back. I'm pissed I missed yesterday, but I'm glad I'm back. I'm ready to rip through the slates. I've got a national championship winner. I know who's going to win it all.
Well, that's good. Ray, how you doing, man? You recovering from your time in Vegas?
Doing okay. Still getting the voice back, so apologies for anybody listening. But yeah, as an all-time weekend, I literally got emotional because I am passionate about college basketball. It's something I love, but Lobo basketball is something that was part of my family growing up, so it just means that much more. So all-time weekend and being able to go into March Madness week, knowing the Lobos are in the bracket is just exhilarating. Cam, how you doing, man?
Oh, dude, I'm doing fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more. I am absolutely shocked that the committee was prepared to leave this Lobos team out of the tournament if they didn't win the Mountain West championship, which is absolutely absurd. Still confused by some things that I'm seeing on this bracket. Colorado State and Boise State both being in play-in games is kind of insane. I know some people out east are very upset with the way things shook out as far as the Big East and them not getting in the tournament. Um, a Virginia team being in, I know some people are salty about that too. You never know what can happen in March though, and that's the thing is, um, even these teams, some who you may not expect to do any damage, they can come out of nowhere. A lot of teams are hot right now. We had 21 one seeds that were upset um throughout conference championship week. So unprecedented stuff. I think that was the largest number of upsets since in like 25 years, since 1999.
Yeah.
So let's start there. And I want to talk to you guys about what happened over the course of the past weekend as
Cam, you're muted, brother.
We lost him.
Yeah, we
Oh
lost him.
no.
Yeah, this is not great.
I thought it was something on my end because I was getting a call during that. I didn't know that you dropped off, unfortunately.
Yeah,
did
unfortunately.
I
But I
did
think,
I did I drop
There we
off?
go.
yep, you're good now.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on any of the games that occurred over the weekend?
Yeah.
Well, I will say I had a couple futures floating around. I thought one of the sharpest ones that I gave out on our show last week actually was Kent State. And what a heartbreaking loss for that team. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Of
Um,
course.
Yeah.
a made put back with 6 seconds left to go up one. Poor kid did not know the score. And he intentionally fouled a Akron player. Kid made both free throws, come down, miss the shot, and it's game over. So that one was painful, but you take everything in March in stride. So that was just one absolutely insane game.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned it on our show yesterday. We would have been very hurt for you if you would have
Oh,
lost in that fashion, and then if the Lobos wouldn't have been able to pull off the Mountain West
Oh,
championship game.
sure.
So that would have been brutal.
I
I
was
will say, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was telling my friends, like, if the Lobos lost in the championship in that fashion and missed out on March Madness, they would have had to like physically peel me off the Thomas and Mack floor. Like I just wouldn't have moved until they moved me.
Yeah.
you know,
Johnny, any initial thoughts on anything that happened over the weekend?
I mean, it was an interesting weekend. It's been a very interesting championship week, I think, as a whole. We've had a ton of the bid stealing that has gone around has been insane. A couple things that really stick out to me is Tennessee and Houston. Tennessee and Houston, I think, on this podcast are two teams that we really were selected as promising teams to be title contenders, and they both got absolutely dummied in their conference tournament games. Is that good? Is that bad? We'll soon find out.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good thing potentially, especially for a team like Houston. And we'll get into the spreads and everything like that, but Houston gets to come into the tournament with a little bit of chip on their shoulder. They got absolutely blasted by Iowa State. Wasn't even a game.
Hmm.
And I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. I see no way that Longwood could even score the basketball against this Houston team. So, put all your chips in on Houston first half, whatever the line is. I think they could be up by the full game spread. Um, at halftime, if I'm being quite honest. And, you never know what can happen with a large spread like that. I don't care. I don't know what it is. I think it opened at 24. It's already might be up towards 28 at this point. Um, but yeah, very interesting result there. I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I think Houston might have just mailed it in that championship game. Um, we had North Carolina State picking off UNC to steal a bid there. Their Cinderella run to I think they were plus 10,000 to win the ACC when things tipped off. So that's insane. Oregon steals a bid. Um, yeah, it was a really crazy and wild conference tournament weekend, and I think it's indicative of what we might see going into the tournament here.
And
Yes.
and to piggyback off that, Cam, I looked up some stats. So from 98 to 2011, um, of those 14 national champions, only four of them did not win their conference tournament. However, since 2011, eight of the last 11 champs all lost in their conference tournament. However, no team since 1993 has ever won the national championship after not making their conference semis. So if you're into trends, those are a couple to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the text lines here before we start getting into the lines and start talking about the tournament and these matchups that we have here starting tomorrow with the first four beginning tomorrow night in Dayton. A texter yesterday or this morning asked us three questions, and we'll start with the first one. Ray, I want you to go ahead and try to answer this first. Realistically, how far can New Mexico go? And realistically, what should our expectations be for Mountain West clubs in general?
Well, a lot of the times I try to be unbiased, and it's tough to do with New Mexico because they're obviously the team I watch the most. So you would think that that gives me a little more insight, but sometimes it's hard to separate like a really good performance from a really bad one and be like, well, which one are they really? Um, but listen, I've been taking in some various content, and a lot of respected handicappers have New Mexico legitimately winning their first two matchups against Clemson and Baylor. And at that point, um, anything can happen. Realistically, I think we could see like an Elite Eight magical run from this team. They have guards, and we know March is dominated by guards. Jalen House, we've seen him at his lowest, and we've seen him play at a conference tournament MVP level. Um, so I really think that this team can surprise people and make a deep run in this tournament. As for the rest of the Mountain West, I actually love the matchup for Nevada against Dayton. I think Utah State is going to struggle with TCU and their athleticism. However, I think 4 of the 6 Mountain West teams are favored in their first matchup. So Vegas respects them. The committee did not,
Yeah.
and we'll
Yeah.
see who is right.
Yeah, that was what was super interesting to me because everybody was tied up about the seeding, and I think rightfully so, especially Boise State being in the play-in round. It was very shocking. You could even tell on their stream that those guys were disappointed and shocked.
Yeah.
But Vegas, respects them. I mean, Boise State's an underdog, a slight underdog. But other than that, I mean, New Mexico steamed up already to -2.5 against Clemson. So I agree with everything that you said, Ray. I think that we're going to see a good opportunity for most of these Mountain West teams. And hey, maybe they just have a little bit of a more of a chip on their shoulder now that they've been disrespected by the committee. Johnny, any thoughts to add to that?
Yeah, I just think in terms of that, there's 3 teams out of the Mountain West that I'm going to be backing that I trust, and that's San Diego State, New Mexico, and Nevada. I think as for the Elite Eight run that Ray is talking about, I think that New Mexico or Nevada, who are on the same side, the same region, I think either one of those teams, I think, is prime. And we've seen them play against each other. In fact, I remember specifically the game that New Mexico beat Nevada at Nevada. That game ended. New Mexico won. They got a stop at the end. And I remember thinking in my head, this Nevada team is for real. I think they're getting undervalued. I think that they're going to beat Dayton, and New Mexico and Nevada are my teams that I think that could be the surprise run.
Yep. All right. The next question. Who will go quick around the room here? Start with you, Kane. Who is your highest seeded team that you think could make the Elite Eight?
Highest seeded team into the Elite Eight. Let me take a quick pick. I
Sorry,
mean,
that might be
honestly,
off the cuff for you.
I think I've got Florida. Florida is actually, no, that's the Sweet 16.
It's the
No, Elite 8,
7 seed.
Elite 8, 7 seed.
Okay. Johnny?
Did you say the highest seeded team?
Yeah, meaning the lowest seeded team,
I see. Okay.
highest number.
Okay, yeah,
I think the texter was a little confused with his verbiage there, so the wording is a little confusing. Yes,
The
the
absolute
lowest
value.
seeded team with the highest number next to their name.
Well, let's not blame the texter. We can blame my stupidity, as I will always own up to that. In my opinion, I think it's Drake. I think Drake has a legit shot here. I think they're really good. And any given night with where they sit in the bracket, they have the best player on the court. I like Drake a lot to make a deep run.
Ray?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I actually think Drake was my pick as well. I think they can get past Washington State, and then they would face an Iowa State team, which I believe is an in-state rival.
Yes.
That Iowa State team we know can go through dry spells, and we're talking about an experienced Drake team who many people may not remember took Miami to the wire last year,
Yes.
a Miami team that eventually went to the Final Four.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with New Mexico, and that no surprise. I think 11 seed New Mexico has all the opportunity in front of themselves. I think they match up super great against Clemson. I think they're gonna make who are their 2 guards, Hunter and the other dude, they're gonna look like traffic cones compared to Dent and House. We're gonna get whatever we want. I think we can match up physically inside. We already proved it against Ledee.
Yeah.
So the way that this New Mexico team is playing, they'll win that first round game, and then they probably face a Baylor team, which will be a high athleticism, high flying, high scoring ball game. Baylor can't stop a nosebleed though, so I would like the Lobos to get past that one. And then if they faced Arizona or Nevada or whoever it may be, I mean, I think they can win in the Sweet 16. So
I
I
think
think New
that
Mexico
just
has a
to
legit
jump off,
shot.
just to jump off that, sorry to interrupt, but I think that Baylor New Mexico game has potential to be the best game in the entire tournament.
Correct.
Yeah.
Really solid matchup if that's what we get. I mean,
Yep.
feed that to me. I want
Yes.
I want that. All
Yes.
right, and then the last question from this particular texter is for Don't Bet Bad Clubs.
Okay.
He says, why was Don't Bet Bad Clubs high school era the same seed as Colgate?
I'm not. Can we get a clarification on the question?
I don't know I mean, hey, I'm just reading it as it's
Do I need
typed.
to explain to people how my
14?
high school career ended? Because
Or
I
we
is
were a
guess
it
so.
top, we were a top seed and we got upset in the second round to Rochester John Marshall at home. It was humiliating. I cried after the game. I thought my life ended. Is that what the listener wants?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't understand the question then. If you were the higher seeded team, why is he comparing you to Colgate?
Yeah, yeah, we lost that on our home court. It was devastating. It scars me to this day.
All right, and then we got one more to address before we get into further stuff here. He says, long time listener, first time caller, Nick S. I don't know who this
Okay.
is. Nick S. He says he's 5'9 3/4. He weighs in at 190 pounds. Who stops Purdue from getting to the Elite Eight or the Final Four?
I think I know who this guy is. I think I went to high school with him. He's a loyal listener. He's a great guy. Honestly, no, the only, you know who stops Purdue? Purdue.
Yeah,
I think they have the
wow?
easiest region. I think it's an absolute storybook season for it could be a storybook season for Purdue. Everybody thinks they're going to get upset because they've got upset so many times, but the only people that can stop Purdue is Purdue.
yeah. I have Purdue all the way to the Elite Eight,
Yeah.
and I have them potentially falling to a Tennessee. I could
Yep.
see Tennessee matching up well and being physical with Edie and defend doing a good job of defending without fouling, and maybe Dalton Connect goes nuclear, and I could see Tennessee maybe knocking them off. Any thoughts, Kane?
Sorry, I wasn't following. I was trying to get the
Purdue,
Wi-Fi going.
Purdue.
Purdue,
You think they have an easy path?
I think they have an easy path, and I'm giving them a little bit of respect this year. I actually have them going to the Final Four, even though I'm a Purdue hater. I think they've addressed the things that I have historically said they cannot do, which they are one of the most efficient three-point shooting teams in the country. I believe they are in the top 35 of Ken Palm's offensive efficiency rankings, ranking number 17 in the country in three-point percentage, or maybe it's top 10. It's very high. And I think that's where they've fallen short in years past. They've just been able to feed the ball to Edie down low, and they've been knocking down mid rangers, and they haven't had guys that can patrol the 3-point line and knock them down in support. I think this is an area that they've addressed this year.
Ray?
So I've got them going deep.
Well, I'm not going to try and get too cute with it and say, it's like one of these first two rounds now. Purdue's going to make a run. There's no question about that. They've been dominant this year. But and you guys can say what you want because I know we all had our doubts midway through the season, but I think we're going to get a really, really good matchup of two 7-footers in the Elite Eight. We're going to have Ryan
Yeah,
Kalkbrenner is going to take down Purdue and make
yeah.
their way to the Final Four.
I was thinking the same thing when I initially saw the bracket. That was the matchup I looked at. I said, if that happens in the Elite Eight, that is going to be uh, elite. Sorry for the pun, but that is going to be a fantastic matchup. Um, if Creighton can get there, I think Creighton actually has a decent path to get there, and we'll get into the bracket a little bit more. But if Creighton can get there, I think they pose a pretty good matchup against Purdue as well.
Absolutely.
Let's talk real quick before we start diving into tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I know there's been some hysteria regarding the seeding of some of these clubs, and we mentioned the missed seeding of the Mountain West. According to multiple outlets and analytics that I pay attention to, the Mountain West teams overall were misseeded by an average of 1.6 seeds for whatever that's worth, according to the laptops. So, and then, you have the Big East only getting 3 teams in. I know a lot of people are upset about Seton Hall, St. John's, maybe even Providence, coaches speaking out, things like that. Um, and then Virginia getting in, and some of the seeding that we saw with Michigan State getting I think they're 8 or 9, and then FAU getting an 8. It's like, and then Dayton getting a 7 seed, and they haven't beaten a single team that is an at large tournament team. They haven't beaten a single team this season. So I mean, any thoughts initially that jump off the page to you guys? I'll start with you, Johnny, on teams that may have gotten snubbed or misseeded.
Well, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that FAU gets in this year. With that being said, I think they go on a little bit of a run, but that's besides the point. Michigan, FAU, Virginia should not have gotten in the tournament. Seton Hall deserved a spot. At least Seton Hall or St. John's deserved a spot. And as for like the misseeding, I think what has been crystal clear is the seeding, the numbers don't mean anything. I think they really focused on matchups. Like I think the Lobos actually in an odd way benefited from getting a lower seed. I think they have a great matchup in the first round, and I think they have a good road to go on a little bit of a run. But I don't think like Duquesne being an 11 seed, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. And I think this is just the first step towards tournament expansion.
Yeah, I think to your point
Unfortunately, and I don't
I-
agree with it. I think you should seed them how you seed them. It doesn't matter, but that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, my thing is we've got a bunch of nerds all over Twitter that have this bracket thing boiled down to a science, and they
Yeah.
could come up with a bracket way better than any old
Yes.
hags in a
Correct.
selection committee putting their heads together. Because my major gripe, and this has been a gripe that's come up for the past few seasons here, probably longer, but as long as I've been paying attention, it's that they don't take into consideration anything that goes on in these major conference tournaments. I mean, Iowa State being the last team on the 2 line is kind of insane. They just don't care. They seem to have a mock bracket drafted up on Thursday night, and they were going to plug and play. If ECU beat Duquesne, they were going to be that 11 seed. They just didn't care. They had it mocked up, and part of the problem with that is that they expect a bracket to be out shortly after the Big Ten championship goes final. And so they don't give the committee enough time to go through things. And there's not representation from all the leagues with this committee. So I think the committee needs a long, hard look at, and there's definitely some problems there. And I understand why people have gripes. Kane, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch, and I like that you mentioned that they're more so playing matchups rather than seeding,
Yeah.
because like Gonzaga and St. Mary's both getting a 5 seed.
Yeah.
How
Right.
how does that make any sense? One team won, one team did not. And sure, they're both, perennial powerhouses of their respective conference, but that doesn't make sense. McNeese getting a 12 seed and the Lobos getting 11.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I
Right.
love McNeese so much, but
Right.
they're giving Gonzaga an easier matchup there by matching them up against McNeese.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was misseedings throughout the entire thing, and like you said, Cam, like Michigan State getting a 9.
That's
I don't
crazy.
understand that.
Yeah.
They're trying to give Izzo a layup to make it out of the first round and beat Mississippi State, because I do like the way that Michigan State's matches up there. Drake getting a higher seed than the Lobos, like, I mean, not to compare everyone to the Lobos, but like there's so many things that you can point at in the Mountain West specifically, where they have so many quad one wins. They have so many like teams in it that can compete at a high level, and you're giving Drake a 10 seed. Not, I know, Johnny, you love Drake. Washington State a 7 seed. Like, how does that make any sense?
No, I agree with that, Kane. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
agree.
It's just nuts.
Well, Cam, I thought 2 things you mentioned were really, really true. I don't think the committee pays much attention to these conference tournaments. Like you said, they have a predetermined bracket filled out before they even start. One thing to look at is a lot of respected bracketologists had the Lobos as like a maybe play-in game kind of spot before the conference tournament. I don't know how 3 quad one wins in 3 days only earns you an 11 seed, and you still have a Nevada team that you beat twice in the regular season seated above you. A couple of things like that are just kind of like mind-boggling to me. And it seems like they they had like the Mountain West champ slotted for an 11 seed or something, and they were just going to throw whoever was in there. But the other thing that you mentioned, Cam, is that didn't know until this year, and it just doesn't seem right to me, is that how does every conference not have some representation
Correct.
Yeah.
in the
Right.
committee? Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's what I'll say too. New Mexico being an 11 seed, I completely agree with you. It makes no sense. But would you rather have them be a 10 seed in a playing game? No. Right?
So,
Like
well,
they gave them a pretty favorable draw.
no, I agree with you. But I look in our same region, and I see this, and I see New Mexico or Nevada matched up against Dayton, and I'm
Yeah.
ready. I think the Lobos are going to freaking lace them up and go go beat the piss out of whoever lines up against them. But do I like the Dayton matchup better for the Lobos? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a text coming in live from a longtime listener, Marcy Garcia. He's in fact been a guest appearance on the Voyage podcast before.
Yep.
He says, talking about the Mountain West, he says thoughts on people saying the only reason the Mountain West has so many quad one wins and wins in general is because they beat up on each other during conference play. I saw this come up. I saw a tweet, because some of these people that are a part of the selection committee make themselves available to the media after the things go down. And I saw a quote from one of them. He said, "Hey, we couldn't really respect the Mountain West. We didn't know how to put a gauge on them because their out of conference schedule was a little bit concerning, and we didn't see them pick up major wins outside of conference. The only time we saw them get those quad one wins was in conference." I have a little bit of a problem with that, because you look at a team like Colorado State, who beat Creighton, beat Colorado, but San Diego State tested themselves plenty throughout
Yep.
non-conference play. I mean, I think they earned the
Well,
top seed out of any
they're
Mountain West team.
respected in the nation.
Yeah, correct. So I
Yeah.
think there's like a little bit of a bias there, right? To where either you didn't tune into the Mountain West, or you're not taking their analytics as seriously just because you see those teams beating up on each other. I think it's fraudulent.
Well, I thought Patino had an awesome quote. I think it was after the Colorado State game. They said, "Now that you've won 2 games here in Vegas, regardless of what happens tomorrow, do you think you're in the tournament?" And Patino said, I don't know. That's not my job, all that. But I think Joe Lenardi's in his freaking jammies while we're playing on TV, he's snoozing in bed. And I think
Yeah.
that might be true. A lot of other conferences get, people make remarks about the same thing, that they boost their net ratings and then just beat up on each
Right.
other in conference. And there's no such thing as a bad loss in conference and yada, yada. But I mean, you look at the top teams in the Mountain West that made it, and a lot of them didn't go through spells like that where they, lost 4 or 5 in a row, something like that. Like they were all strong, and it's maybe instead of bashing on them for their conference schedule, they need to look in the mirror and realize that all the big conferences do the same thing, and maybe the Mountain West should be considered a big conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
Yeah.
agree fully with that. And I mean, not to beat a dead horse here, but going back to some of the teams that got higher seeds than some of these Mountain West clubs, like you've got UAB at a 12 seed. Who did they play outside of their conference? FAU, who did they play outside of the conference? And I don't have FAU's schedule up. They could have played some teams.
They played Arizona, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But they're
But they had like
Duquesne.
4 quad 4 losses. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's beat up on the A10 and some of those other conferences, Duquesne, Dayton. They didn't play anyone. They didn't
Right.
play anyone. And they've got higher
Dayton
seeds
didn't
than a
play
lot of
anything.
these.
Yeah.
They're not subject to a play-in game.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's a fact. And I think, like, I mean, listen, I love the Mountain West. I respect the Mountain West. I've respected the Mountain West for a while now. But the reality of it is these Mountain West games start at 12 o'clock. Okay. Now listen, I watch ball, but when it's 12 o'clock and the second half is starting, I'm not all there.
Yeah.
I gotta be up at, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like,
Oh, of
you
course.
hear people from out east, and people from out east that are Big East fans should be very upset right now, but they should
Yes.
not be upset with the Mountain West. They
Correct.
should be upset with Michigan State, FAU, Virginia. That is terrible. Like you
Yeah.
said, FAU has 4 quad 3, quad 4 losses. That's you shouldn't be in
Well,
the tournament. And so I think that
that
when people say that they watch ball and they're from out east and they're like, I watch the Mountain West, well, it's like, how closely do you? You don't watch it as closely as you do the Big East,
correct.
naturally. Neither I will admit I don't either.
Well, and to those people that are upset about the Big East, I definitely understand their frustration as well
Yes.
too. And that part to me is absolutely shocking because normally there's some sort of a Big East bias here. And Seton Hall beating Marquette, beating UConn, that should earn them a spot in the tournament right off the jump. But I forget where I was going with this, but it's
They beat Creighton twice.
yeah.
Twice.
So yeah, exactly. I think you're exactly right, Johnny. They should not be pissed at the Mountain West. They should be and here's the other thing. That this is where I was getting with this. It's not all entirely their fault or the committee's fault either. There's 4 or 5 bid stealers in this tournament.
True.
Okay. In a
Yes.
normal situation, there's 1 or 2 bids that are stolen. All things being equal, if this wouldn't have happened, if North Carolina State wouldn't have won, if Oregon didn't win, if we didn't get a bid stealer in the A10 or the American, we'd be looking at a totally different field and probably St. John's and Seton Hall probably getting in, and everybody would be fine with things. But the way that things shaped out, man, it's just the way it goes. It's March Madness. Um, so without further ado, how about we start digging into some of these lines here and looking at some of the matchups that we've got, starting with tomorrow night in Dayton, Ohio. Okay, for the first 4, we got Wagner and Howard. I don't know if that moves the needle for either of you guys, for any of you. But the big matchup tomorrow night is going to be Colorado State against Virginia. Kind of a contrasting styles there. Colorado State's going to try to get out and run it. Virginia has problems scoring the basketball. I lean Colorado State in this one. I think it could be an interesting matchup for them, just the way that Virginia could probably try to get them into a rock fight. But I am absolutely going to hammer Colorado State. I think they've had problems. If Virginia turns them into a jump shooting team, they could struggle a little bit. Might be a little bit of a lower scoring affair. But I think Colorado State's out to prove something a little bit here after their performance in the Mountain West tournament as well. Any thoughts on that, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that definitely lean Colorado State here. I think that the public money, the public tickets and money are both on Virginia here, and I understand it because I think that my concern with, and I'm gonna play Colorado State probably on the money line, but my concern is that the scoring depth of this team. I get it. Isaiah Stevens is one of the best guards in the entire nation, but this is a team that prides themselves on defense and they might be able to neutralize him. And so if they do that, then what? I wouldn't say that I necessarily trust this Colorado State team in the long run, but I like them tomorrow night.
Yeah, I would have to say I lean the same way. One thing that's one thing that I battle with in March when I'm filling out a bracket and such is there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can say no one wanted Virginia in the tournament. They
Right.
we can all agree they weren't good. Like Colorado State had a good season. They're a good team. But then I kind of I tend to look at it the other way as well, where there just nobody's going to pick Virginia to win, which sucks because I want the Mountain West to represent well and have a good showing this year. But that does scare me a little bit. I mean, that Virginia defense is tough to prepare for. Colorado State obviously hasn't seen it this year. Um, the line indicates it's going to be a close game. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that game yet, and I very well might just sit back and watch.
It honestly sucks that this is a game that is going to be, as John Rothstein would call it, a standalone game, and everybody,
Right.
the nation, is going to be tuned into the first couple games of March Madness here, and you're going to have to sit and watch Virginia play basketball for a couple hours. You're going to be wanting to gouge your eyes out after 20 minutes of watching that. Their offense is horrible. It's bleak. It's ugly. They're well coached. Colorado State, it'll be an interesting game. It's contrasting styles. Kane, any
Would you
thoughts or?
Sorry,
No,
could you imagine Colorado State Seton Hall in this game?
Oh,
that'd be a lot more fun.
It'd be
Yeah.
That'd be a
electric.
lot more fun. But
Yes.
no,
well,
I think you guys gave great analysis there. I'm just gonna back the Mountain West, and I do think the Rams are a better club. I hate the Cavaliers, and I think their time is past. They haven't done a single thing to impress me this year.
well, I'd also be interested to know. We have totals of 128 tomorrow in Wagner Howard and 121 in CSU Virginia. I wonder if those are the two lowest totals combined ever for the first 4 games in a single night.
Like,
I saw a meme on Twitter yesterday where it was like this guy's gonna have a very interesting couple of days, and it was this guy's name was like it was a LinkedIn profile, and it was like his name was Wagner Howard, some CPA some CPA out of Virginia or something like.
Holy cow.
well, I do think that Vegas is learning their lesson because I think last year the first like 8 games went under. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Right, yeah,
teams get a little tight early, especially in these early games here.
yeah. So moving on to Wednesday, we've got an interesting matchup between Grambling and Montana State. If I'm interested in a play-in game in 16 seeds, this is one where I'm a little bit interested in, because I obviously backed this Montana State team to win the Big Sky at plus 2,000. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but that cashed.
Yep.
Montana State is laying 3.5 points here against Grambling. Although, listen, I haven't watched much Grambling basketball. I haven't watched much of the SWAC this year. But when I saw that team on camera yesterday, when they got announced in the tournament, I got a little bit frightened. I almost
Right.
pooped myself a little bit. So Montana State should watch out. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, remember the dude in that Letterman's jacket? That thing was sick. I kind of like Grambling, but I'm not gonna play it because I mean I just can't play it. I can't I yeah.
Yeah, because we don't know.
I
But
know.
Boise State is getting 2.5 points against Colorado. Should be a fantastic matchup. Colorado lost in the Pac-12 championship game, the final Pac-12 championship game. They lost to Oregon, and Colorado play. You know, they're a talented club. They've got guys. They've got NBA players. We've talked about it. The Williams kid, he's a good player. I just think Boise State is a little bit bigger on the outside here. They should be able to play some good defense against Colorado. Eddie Lampkin is unathletic. A lot of people are on Colorado, man. I'm seeing a lot of people on Colorado. I think they might be the more talented team, but this is a veteran Boise State team, and I think they really are seriously pissed off about having to be in the play-in round in Dayton. And so I like Boise State to win this game outright.
I agree with everything you just said, and I think that Boise State has been here before. Did they not play in the play-in game last year?
I don't believe they did.
Or was that
Nevada did. No,
Nevada? That was Nevada.
They played 8-9 game last year against
Northwestern, maybe?
yeah, correct. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
and they won that game.
and the year before was Memphis. They kind of got shafted. That Memphis team was not an 8 seed.
Right. Right. No, I think this team plays their best basketball when they have a chip on their shoulder. When they go into the pit and a hostile environment against, at that time, one of the best Mountain West teams, they played their best. And I think that they have a chip on their shoulder. Everybody's on Colorado. Give me Boise State with the points.
Yeah, this is a hard game for me because I like the Broncos. They've got the better defense in my opinion in this game. That goes back to you guys talking about they've got a little bit better size. They're better in the paint on offense. The only thing that scares me a little bit is teams that have historically been successful in March. Colorado is the fifth best three-point shooting team in the country. They can definitely light it up. And especially with the fact that Colorado can also score the ball, I almost kind of just like going the over in this game. It's at 140. That's definitely higher than what we're seeing in the in the Tuesday slate. But that's kind of what I might be playing there.
I don't hate that, Kane, because it's a short line. Overtime is in play. I don't hate that.
Good point.
Overtime could be an interesting play there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they never end a game early.
No,
Right.
yeah.
No.
You've seen this Colorado team lose to a Mountain West opponent earlier in the season as well, too. Now, I think this Colorado team is definitely a different Colorado team than what we saw at the beginning of the season. I think they kind of, played themselves off of the bubble. Obviously, they made the tournament. They probably would have been slated a little bit higher had there not been as many bid stealers. But I just didn't like what I saw from them. They got beaten up physically by that Oregon team in the Pac-12 game. And so I lean Boise State in that one. Um, Now let's get into the meat of things. Okay. We're talking Thursday slate now. And first round matchups, baby. It's March. We got a bracket. We're ready to roll. And it starts off early on Thursday morning with a hell of a matchup between Tom Izzo and Chris Jans. Michigan State is laying 1.5 points against Mississippi State. And this Michigan State team, people are saying they're overseeded, what have you. This Mississippi State team is no slouch. They get after you physically. They competed against Auburn. They probably gave Auburn their toughest test throughout the SEC tournament. Hung around. They just couldn't really do enough offensively. Any thoughts here on this one? Johnny, start with you.
Under. It's 130.5. This is going to be an absolute rock fight. It's going to tip off the big Thursday, the first day of the tournament. I love the under in this game. I think that this is going to be an absolute rock fight. Neither team is going to take too big of a risk. Neither team shoots the ball that well. The short line would indicate overtime, as we mentioned in the previous game, Boise State, Colorado. But I like the under a lot in this game to start out the day.
So maybe a first half under.
Maybe a first half under. Yes.
A sleepy
yes.
first half under.
Yep.
Any thoughts, Ray?
Well, I pulled up Mississippi State earlier when we were talking about kind of like, who made it, who got left out, and their non-con really wasn't that impressive. I'm not seeing any. There's a couple tournament teams they beat Wazoo and Northwestern, but I'm not seeing any real big kind of marquee wins. They lost, and they also have losses to Georgia Tech and Southern.
Yeah.
So that's concerning. I mean, this team went 8-10 in conference. I do like the style of ball that they played, and Chris Jans can coach it, and that's what allowed him to pull off an upset with New Mexico State a few years ago. But I think Izzo is gonna outdo him on the X's and O's this year. I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Izzo's bunch has a guy in Tyson Walker who can take over a game late and put a team on his shoulders and get it done in crunch time.
Listen, Chris Jans was an assistant coach in NAIA ball when Tom Izzo got the Michigan State job in 1995. So that's what we're dealing with here. That's the difference in this matchup. Could very well be. Next up, we got Duquesne and BYU. Duquesne getting 9.5 points, the champions of the A10. Kane, did you have something to say?
I did have one thing on Michigan State, actually.
Go ahead.
There's a couple things that you just don't do in life. You don't talk politics at Christmas or the holiday gatherings with your family. You don't claim your gambling winnings on your taxes. And you don't bet against Tom Izzo in the opening round of March. How many times? That's burned us the last 2 years, I think.
No, it hasn't.
No, we maxed Izzo last year.
Right. We took it. We took
What are you
it.
talking about?
But with an underseed or overseeded Michigan State team, that's the way that everyone's going to be looking at this. I think it's extreme value for the Spartans. Izzo shows up in March.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
So the interesting thing with this Duquesne team is I don't know, I'm sure you guys saw the confetti going off early in the A10 championship game.
Yes.
That game was probably scripted. I don't know. This Duquesne team, some people are saying, A10 fans are saying, don't let this team get hot. They're one of the best teams They're one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. I think that probably holds some weight here. This BYU team is interesting too because obviously they live and die by the three. They can get out to a scorching fast start, or they can fall behind early and then come back by shooting the three ball pretty well. I think Johnny and I kind of aligned yesterday in that maybe you lay the points with BYU and then look for an opportunity if they fall behind early to get back in on it live.
Yep.
I think that could be the way to play this thing here. BYU live has been good for us this season.
Yeah, I think that's the way to play this game. And I think that naturally I'm a BYU hater, but I will say this team, I've watched a lot of BYU basketball. They're very long, and it doesn't necessarily translate to defense as much as it does offensive rebounding. I think they shoot the ball really well. I'm not too sure about this Duquesne team. I think they have two guards that are really good, and I get it. Listen, I get it. They're hot right now, but they played A10 basketball. They have not played a good team all year. And BYU ran through the gauntlet of the Big 12. There's a massive difference there. And I like BYU a lot. I don't know if I'm going to lay the points right away, 9.5, but I'm going to definitely live bet this game because I know BYU.
Well, the second I pulled this game up, I immediately am leaning BYU, and I'm honestly probably going to lay the 9.
Yeah.
I wanted to go look because, yeah, this team did get hot in their conference tournament. They beat Dayton, St. Bonnie's, and VCU. Those are good wins. However, as I go through, Dayton shot 32% from the field, 27 from three. St. Bonnie's 40%, 25% from three. VCU 36% from the field, 20% from three. Like they got kind of lucky. I don't think like we can't just overshadow that fact. And a team that does not go through those dry spells is this BYU team. So I think I'm honestly gonna play BYU in that one. I think they'll have plenty of opportunities to pull away because this Duquesne team can go silent for a while. I believe as I'm looking at it right now, they scored 0 points in 6 minutes in their conference title game.
Yeah.
So who knows? The lights might be too bright. One kill shot from the Cougars might be too much for Duquesne. I like the Cougars.
Yeah, I don't like Duquesne at all in this matchup. I think the 9.5 is a good number to get BYU at, but like John said, if they come out sluggish, getting them live is a good thing to do. Duquesne 9-1 in their last 10. Interestingly enough, as a favorite, BYU is 22-4 on the money line. I know that that's obviously not something anyone's going to lay, but potentially a parlay piece if you like a couple heavy favorites. I know nobody on here likes that. But then the only thing is Duquesne is 6-2 ATS as underdogs. Knowing that we're approaching that double digit mark, and we'll see how the line moves over the next couple days, that could go up into the double digits, which if you want to try and find a middle ground between the two, that could be interesting. That could be interesting, but I don't know. I don't think this Duquesne team can really compete in this game.
I think BYU wins by a couple 13, 14 points here. I just don't see it. I don't see Duquesne competing. I think this is where you go Big 12 versus A10. Who has BYU faced this year? The gauntlet that they went through, and I just think they're the better club by far. I think 9.5 is a good number, good value. Next up, we got Akron and Creighton. Akron is already becoming kind of a public underdog, and they're getting 12.5 points. I'm seeing it at most shops here. Listen, this Akron team, man, and Ray, I know you were super tuned into the MAC tournament. Obviously, people are going to say, Akron got lucky by getting in. They snuck past Kent State by their own wrongdoing, et cetera, et cetera. This Akron team is good, though. They guard the perimeter well. They move you off the 3-point line. I think Creighton might struggle. Maybe it's an opportunity to back Akron in the first half because Creighton could heat up and pull away eventually. I don't see Akron winning this game, but I think it could be closer than we think.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this Akron team. I'm obviously been all year not big on Creighton. I think I could see myself playing Akron with the points here. I think Creighton wins the game. Yeah, that's really all I got in the game.
Freeman's a good player for Akron. He's their top scorer. I don't know. He's a long forward. I think he spreads the floor out nicely. I don't know how they match up with Kalkbrenner and Shireman though. But like I said, if they can move him off the 3-point line, maybe that's interesting. Kane, you had something?
I feel like that 140 total might be too high if this is a game where, I mean, that just doesn't pass the eye test with a spread this large. I mean, unless we're thinking that Creighton's going to put up 100. If Akron
They
can't
could.
keep pace, I mean, they could, but if
Yeah.
Akron cannot keep pace with them, Creighton isn't going to throw all their resources in the opening round at a 14 seed, essentially. I know that, you play every game to win, but they're not going to have all these guys out on the floor the entire time. If they get out to a big lead, they're going to kind of be in prevent the rest of the game. And I think that 140 number might be too high with a spread like that.
Yeah, I don't mind what Cam said. I think it was Cam about the first half, maybe.
Yeah.
Creighton, if Creighton comes out a little tight, not shots aren't falling. I trust them to will a win here, no matter what. But it could be one where it's a little testy at half. I don't hate that, but overall, yeah, I like Creighton in this one.
Another public underdog is in the next game, and it's Long Beach State. A lot of books took a big, heavy hit on Long Beach State because everybody's looking to fade Arizona, and I think rightfully so. We've talked about it all year on our show. This Arizona team, it's really hard to trust them. They're laying 20.5 points here against a Long Beach State team who fired their head coach. Dan Munson is a fired coach. He's a lame duck head coach heading into the tournament here, and it could be really interesting. I mean, the 20.5 is a lot of points, and I'm going to go to a caller quick here. We've got somebody on the line giving us a buzz, so let's see what he's got to say.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Hello, you are live on Voyage College Basketball. What can I do for you?
Okay, thank you guys. First of all, twist my nuts and call me Kane. Second of all, I wanted to take a look at the Long Beach State game for today, or for Friday, no, Thursday. I see the over-unders at 160.5 right now. And in my opinion, it could go either way. With Don Monson getting fired, do you think the team is going to be riled up and drop 100 on the Arizona Wildcats? Or do you think they're going to flounder and drop 40? I'd love to get your opinion on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for calling. We'll address that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. This fired coach. I think they've been playing with a lot of juice. I mean, they fired a coach before the conference tournament, and they obviously went on a big run in the Big West. And so are they going to keep that same juice going into the tournament? Yeah, I think they definitely could. Ray, you had some thoughts on that total?
Yeah, this was one that stuck out to me yesterday when I first looked at lines. I think this caller's on the right track for sure. Long Beach State, per Evan Maya, plays at the 17th fastest tempo. And obviously we know that Arizona can fly. Long Beach is a slightly under average defensive team. I like this. I like this game to get out of hand. I would play over 161.
I just
Wow,
want
I
to
like that.
I want to clarify one thing. Did the caller say twist my nuts and call me Kane?
That's right. Kane, do you have any comment?
Yeah.
I have no comment at this time.
I don't understand.
I don't either, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the voice either, so I can't make a public
It might
statement.
be Poncho Sandbags.
Yeah, it could be anybody for all we know.
Losing
No,
them.
but listen, you have to play Long Beach State here with the points, at least. Their head coach is fired and you have to. I mean,
Yeah.
you
It's so many points. Many.
Yeah, right.
Well, and I love the fact that people are saying too, we're already, like I said, early books got hammered on Long Beach State. Apparently Long Beach State, took some early action. They moved the point, or the spread down about a half a point. And so now you talk about it and people are going the opposite way now and saying there is no way that Arizona loses to a 15 seed again in the first round. And so I think it's too many points. I think Caleb Love is playing poor basketball. I think Long Beach State is ultra motivated with their coach being gone, and they're playing for Munson, and they could keep this thing close. But that total is interesting. It's a very large number. All right, we can move on to the next game here on our slate. We got Morehead State and Illinois. I think Morehead got a lot of public action as well, too. This line opened up at 13.5. It's already down to 11.5. I think Morehead State likes to slow the game down and put it at a pace that might make Illinois uncomfortable. The way that Illinois played in the Big Ten tournament was very interesting because they kind of got put off balance a little bit by some teams. And specifically, I remember that Ohio State game. I mean, it looked like they were down and out. They've got guys that can knock down shots and get them back in this thing and win the game. Is 12 too many points though?
It's hard to say here. It's hard. I mean, do you guys like Morehead?
I don't. Well, yeah, but I don't know if I love Morehead State University men's basketball.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, it was a joke. You snipped it out right away. Nobody played into it. I thought it was I had a quick zinger there.
Well, Morehead and Longwood both made the tournament, so we're good in that regard.
No world this year, though. No world.
You know what's going to be horrible if you bet Morehead State in this game, though? Is you just know Illinois is capable of a 10-0 run in a matter of a snap of your fingers. This is a massive stay away game for me.
Yeah, I don't have much interest in betting this one, but to that point, I think that's why it's going to be so key for Morehead to slow the game down.
Morehead is receiving 92% of the bets at this point in time, hence the reason the number keeps coming down. But it could be interesting. So we'll have to see that one. I don't have much else either on that one, though, to be honest with you, really either. Next game in this slate, we get the afternoon slate here on Thursday. Oregon and South Carolina, basically a pick 'em. South Carolina's 1.5-point favorites. Oregon, a bid stealer out of the Pac-12. They're playing good basketball. South Carolina, I think, could be too physical for them. We've been trying to sell this team all year. It's been difficult for me to handicap this South Carolina team. Sorry, anybody jump in here if you got any thoughts. South Carolina lost to Auburn. They got molly-whopped by Auburn in the SEC tournament, I think in the quarterfinal. So any thoughts on this one?
Well, yeah,
go ahead, Ray. No, you go ahead, Ray.
Well, Cam pointed out they're getting dummied by Auburn, and I was on South Carolina that game and I watched it, and they just had no answer for Janai Broom, and I'm worried because Nafali Dante for Oregon is playing like a man possessed right now.
Yes, he is.
And Dana Altman has been notorious for having success in March. I think I'm probably going to end up back in the Ducks there. I like that matchup.
Yeah, no, I like South Carolina in this game a lot because I just think that there's something about there's a little bit of magic in this South Carolina team. I think that they're going to win a game in this tournament. I hear what you're saying about Oregon. Dante is a solid player. They had trouble with Janai Broom, but I think that Auburn plays with a different, their whole team plays with a different intensity than Oregon does. I like South Carolina. I think that they can shoot the three at all 5 positions, which I like a lot. Give me South Carolina.
Yep, I agree.
And then we've got a fantastic matchup here in Salt Lake City between Nevada and Dayton. Nevada 1-point favorites. 10-7 matchup here. And Dayton lost in the A10 tournament to Duquesne. Nevada's been solid all year. They lose their opening matchup in the Mountain West tournament to Colorado State, which probably helped Colorado State find their way into the tournament. Look, this Dayton team, man, I just don't trust their guards. They're not deep enough at the guard position to make this thing interesting. A lot of people are loving Dayton in this matchup, and I don't see it. I don't know why. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Well, I know why they would like them, and I understand the reason why is because they're going to have the best player on the floor.
Sure.
However, I do think that this Nevada team is too they're too seasoned, they're too savvy, they're well coached. It's a good, talented team. Is it Jared Lucas?
Yep.
Yeah, he played for that Oregon State team that 3 years ago went on that massive run. I like Nevada here a lot. It's gonna be a tough sweat just because by far the best player on the court you're gonna go against, but I like Nevada here.
Yeah, I'm on Nevada as well. I think if Steve Alford can scheme up a way to take Holmes away, then the Dayton guards are really relying on jump shooting, and there's a lot of variance involved there. So I agree on Nevada. I can also see, like you mentioned, Jared Lucas has like March star written all over him. He makes just ridiculous jump shots. Like end of the shot clock, he'll pull up from 30 feet. He's one of those guys. So I agree with you. I like Nevada there.
Yeah, I think the Pack are free in this game.
All right. All right. I think we're all aligned on that then. You got Oakland out of the Horizon League getting 13 and a half points against Kentucky. This is I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm hammering Kentucky.
Yeah.
The line's already been steamed a little bit. I think a full point in Kentucky's favor. So I'm all over Kentucky. I don't think Oakland has a chance. Kentucky's going to put up 100 points. In fact, if I'm looking at this, Johnny, you did mention Kentucky team total. That's sitting at 88 and a half.
I
I don't
love it.
think I don't know what this Oakland defense is like, but you guys have any thoughts there?
Listen, the Horizon League is horrendous.
Oh, they're
I
bad. They're bad defensively.
Yes, but as is Kentucky. The first bet I will be making when my plane lands in Vegas, which is like 11:45, I am placing Kentucky team total over. I don't care what it's at. It could be at 100 and I'm taking it. It's that simple. It's seriously.
Yeah, this is another high variance game because I think Oakland plays some funky zone kind of. Um, so Kentucky might just light them up from three, and that's within the cards. So I'm a little too scared to play Oakland here. Probably stay away, but Kentucky wins.
Horizon stinks. That's it.
All right, this matchup is fantastic. A lot of people are talking about this one. McNeese against Gonzaga. McNeese, a 30-win club. Will Wade and company. Gonzaga has been playing good basketball, especially down the stretch, earning themselves a 5 seed here in this matchup. They're laying 6.5 points against a pretty good McNeese club. Gonzaga coming off the loss in the WCC title game. They've got fresh legs. That was quite a while ago. So this one should be very interesting. I want to let somebody else talk about this, though. Anybody have any early leans on this one? I've seen it go both ways, and I can't really decide myself.
It's tough. It's tough. This McNeese club has been impressive all year. Extremely overperforming. I'm not sure if they have any quad ones or anything like that. Probably not. But they have been an exciting team. They put up a ton of points, and it'll be interesting to see how they mesh against Gonzaga's play style, especially with being. I think McNeese is a significantly undersized club, but they know how to shoot the ball. They know how to knock down shots, and this is going to make it a very interesting game. I'm not sure if 5.5 is enough. I think the Zags are either going to absolutely mollywop them, or McNeese wins outright and bounces the Zags in the first round.
This
Yeah.
this one's just a little confusing seed wise for me because I remember last year the Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now I don't remember how they did throughout the year, but they won their conference tournament and they were in a 16 seed playing game. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, McNeese wins the Southland. And granted, they won 30 games, which is impressive, but they're a 12 seed.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sure about that.
Or even Gonzaga being a 5 seed, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that one more. I know McNeese doesn't have a lot of size, which could be an issue facing Gonzaga, but they
Yeah.
do have Shahade Wells. Probably stay away from me. I don't like 6 points.
I like Gonzaga in this game. I get it.
Yeah.
McNeese State has 30 wins. So they opened up the season and they beat VCU at VCU. I think we can all agree that's a really good win.
Yep.
And then they followed that up by playing a college
Yeah. Yeah.
Bible studies.
Yes.
That sounds, I don't even, yeah. So they played Bible studies and then they played Champ Christian,
Yep.
which isn't one of those teams like an all girls.
Well, they played in all girls school. Mississippi University of the Women. They played on December
Right.
5th. I don't even know how
No.
Mississippi
Right.
University of the Women can field a men's basketball team. They won that game 92-23. But you're right. They play. I was just going to talk about that. I mean, I think they played a D3 club here in Latorno. I mean, so some of their wins are like, I mean, it's just like, what in the world happened here? They went on the road, lost against a Western Carolina club who we like. They lost on the road at Louisiana Tech.
Yep.
You know,
They
they
did
they
beat
beat
UAB.
they beat a team in UAB who's in the field. But yeah, McNeese State. I mean, sure they're impressive and all. I think they can score, but I just maybe the 30 wins is inflated.
I
They,
might be
I,
talking. I might be talking myself into the Zags because that VCU team I remember was also severely injured. I don't think Schogel or Bairstow started the year.
right. And I think that there's something to be said for familiarity in this tournament. Gonzaga's used to playing Pacific. They're used to playing lower level teams, which I think that McNeese State clearly is. And so I don't think they're going to play down their competition here. I think that the line it's definitely a Gonzaga line. And listen, Mark Few I mean, he's gonna fuck around and make the Sweet 16 and lose. He does it every
McNeese
year.
McNeese also does have a win against a lowly Michigan Wolverines team. And I believe I did do research into those two of those games. I believe the women's college that they played, that was a charity event. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I did look into that at some point because that was strange.
Yeah, I'm fading McNeese.
Yeah, I
It was
think.
a speed dating event.
Yeah, it's interesting because based on the seeding and the fact that McNeese went 30-3, they're attracting a lot of public money here. I think it's time to back the Zags. Mark Few is a better coach in this matchup. I think Will Wade kind of got a raw deal at LSU, but it doesn't matter. I think Gonzaga is the better team here. Then you have a 2 seed Iowa State taking on the winners of the Summit League, South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. 16.5 point spread here. Um, any chance the Jackrabbits are live here? I mean, Iowa State's been playing incredible basketball. It's kind of one of those things where maybe they let their guard down a little bit against South Dakota State. I'm not sure. We're getting a live caller here, so I'm gonna go to the phone lines here again. Let's see what we got. You are live on Voyage College Basketball Podcast. What can I do for you, sir?
It's kind of one of those things where
You're breaking up a little bit. What'd you say there?
am I live?
Yeah, you're live.
All right, bet. Here we go. First, so I want to clarify my earlier comment with don't bet bad clubs. I was talking about his high school ERA, earned run average, being the same seed as the Colgate Raiders.
Okay. All right. We'll get his reaction to that. Any thoughts on Iowa State and South Dakota State?
Well, South Dakota State, they got Zeke Mail. He can flat out stroke it from downtown. And William Kyle the third, he can play too. Two questions where I got in my bracket. I got Houston, Wisconsin. I think that's a big time matchup. And I just want to get thoughts on that. And my other game that I thought would tickle the cranium would be Marquette and Boise State. Boise State, they're a good club, and I have them going to the Elite Eight. So just to start on that.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for calling in, man. We'll get to those. Appreciate that. Bad clubs. You have any thoughts on the clarification now? He's talking about your earned run average. Okay. I
Well,
guess we're
I'll
talking
just
two different sports here, but
Yeah, well, now let's pivot here, and that's totally fine with me. There's a little thing out there called misinformation. This is total misinformation, and I'm not saying that my ERA would have been at the seed or whatever that is. The problem being is I was never a pitcher. I played behind the dish. I was a catcher. I didn't have an ERA. My ERA is NA.
Well, misinformed gentleman there then.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's got
Yeah.
some interesting takes. He's got Boise State to the Elite Eight. If they can get past Colorado, they take on Florida. That's interesting. I think we'll get into some of that a little bit later. And then Houston, Wisconsin would be another potential second round matchup. He brought up a point about South Dakota State, and their ability to stroke it from three. It could be interesting. Iowa State is just suffocating on defense, though.
Yes. But here's the thing. A team that has been unranked going into the season that gets a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, I don't believe has ever gone to the past the round of 32, or there's some crazy stat like that. And there's one team that falls into that, and that's Iowa State. I don't know enough about this South Dakota State team. I've heard a lot about Zeke Mayo. They have a lot of bad losses. They won the Summit. I get it. This is a stay away game for me.
I agree. I think that line's too large. But I think Iowa State obviously wins this game. There's not a chance that the Jackrabbits can pound it from downtown like that.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one.
Okay. St. Peter's, a daunting matchup for Tennessee. They're getting 21.5 points. St. Peter's goes on a historical, magical run, wins their conference. And this line has been steamed up. I think it opened at 19. Now Tennessee is 21-point favorites. I don't have any faith in St. Peter's here. I think Tennessee knows what's at stake. They just got rim rocked against Mississippi State. Poor showing for Tennessee in the SEC title game. I think they come out with a chip on their shoulder, and I like Tennessee first half here in this one.
This is a total stay away game for me. That's
Too
all I
many
have to say.
scars. Too many scars.
Well, no, we had a great time with St. Peter's. If you remember correctly, we ran those Kentucky fans out of the bar like
That's
the
right.
scumbags they were.
Listen, I think there's a reason this line is steamed, and I'm buying into that, but it's slightly differently. St. Peter's team total is 54.5. I'm going under there. I've watched this team play. They were in some of the lonely Friday night action spots. This team's offense is not good. They lived off turnovers. They don't have jump shooters. I just think that Tennessee is going to totally stifle them. I don't know if they get to 50.
Okay.
That sounds sharp.
Yeah, I like that a lot. North Carolina State and Texas Tech. Texas Tech 4.5-point favorites. North Carolina State claims a bid, wins the ACC. Not a lot of action being played on this game. I think people are a little bit concerned with the line here. Any thoughts? I think we liked Texas Tech when we saw the bracket come out yesterday. But any thoughts here?
I still like Texas Tech a lot. I think they're
Pop
really well
Isaacs.
coached.
Yeah.
Pops Isaacs, Joe Toussaint. I really like this team. They have a really nice big. I don't know his name, but he's really good. Their coach, he was the coach at North Texas. The name is not coming to me right now. McCaslin. He's a great coach. I think this team boat races NC State. And this is a game I love because there's not a single slip on it. Nobody knows it. And I feel like that gives me an advantage.
Yeah. One of the things to consider with Texas Tech not picking up any slips here, I've seen some tweets on gambling Twitter about sports betting just went live legally in North Carolina. They're catching a lot of action on UNC, Duke, North Carolina State. Could be interesting.
Yes.
Opportunity for the books. The books might be a little bit.
Yep.
This might be a spot where they could win some money with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree. I like Texas Tech here. I don't know how much they have left in the tank physically after winning 5 straight games in 5 days. This huge upset win in their conference tourney. One thing I may look at if I can't talk myself into the -5, I might wait actually to see if NC State jumps out early. But I think eventually the legs have to go after the weekend they had. So maybe a live look.
Yeah, that could be fair. I love this one. I love Samford against Kansas. I think Samford plays at a breakneck pace that Kansas is going to have a tough time playing. And listen, McCullough and
Dickinson.
Yeah, why am I losing my train of thought? Hunter Dickinson are they haven't played in 2 weeks. They might be fully healthy. They might be ready to go. They might be chomping at the bit. But how fresh can your legs be after not having played for a couple weeks? I think this Samford team is ready to rock. I think they'll cause troubles. They'll get Kansas a little bit uncomfortable. I like
Mhm.
Samford first half in this one a lot
Yes, yes.
because I could see Kansas and Bill Self kind of making some second half adjustments, maybe turning things around and ultimately winning this basketball game. But I think Samford has the guys to compete in this game for at least 20 minutes.
It's moments like this, Erickson, where we didn't even talk about Samford first half, but the exact same reasoning is why I have Samford first half written down right here. I like him on the money line, and I love that play. I like taking Samford with the points. I like taking Samford first half.
Well, I was just gonna say I think I would probably just sprinkle a little Sanford money line, if
Yeah.
anything. I only see this going two ways, and that's either a blowout or they win outright.
Yeah, I think that's a super intriguing matchup there. A Samford team we've had our eyes on for quite some time. And then you get the nightcap. Drake, 1.5 point favorites against Wazoo. Drake, the veteran Drake club, man, they're the sexy pick. I like them a lot. I think Washington State's a little bit overvalued here. Um, I think DeVries and this Drake offense, I mean, they're playing good basketball. They can shoot it. They can force Washington State into some weird situations here. My only concern would be uh, I just haven't put enough eyes on this Washington State team, but they seem pretty efficient offensively. They get offensive boards, which could be a concern. Any thoughts on this one? I think you guys are going to say you like Drake, but let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we mentioned the top of the show that we both like Drake. Who was that kid for, was it Teddy Allen for New Mexico State?
Yes.
Yeah.
That little run he went on reminds me a lot of this Drake team and Tucker DeVries. He's going to be the best player on the court no matter what. I love Drake here.
Yeah, I don't have anything really in depth here. I do like Drake as well though.
All right. And then let's get to Friday, man. And Friday starts off with Northwestern and Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic team who people don't think deserve to be in the tournament. Northwestern, who got clipped in the Big Ten, was a quarterfinal.
Yep.
A lot of people are back in Northwestern here in this one, and I kind of like to go the other direction here. I know Florida Atlantic suffered a bad loss against Temple. They were up for most of the game and then ended up getting clipped. I don't know what the deal was with that Temple club. They were shaving points. They weren't shaving points. They were duping people. They weren't. I don't know. Florida Atlantic is a team that's been there. They brought back everybody. They had the target on their back all year. I just don't know, man, if Northwestern can match up well with Golden on the inside. And then the way that Florida Atlantic can spread you out with multiple shooters around the perimeter, I just don't see the one thing that concerned me with watching Northwestern is just that if Boo Booey's not going, it's tough for them to find ways to score the basketball at times. So I kind of lean Florida Atlantic in this one.
Same. I almost think Florida Atlantic has like become the non-trendy kind of pick. And granted, they're favored, but I agree. I think Northwestern's just a little too banged up on the perimeter without Barry and Langborg. So I think I'm going to take the Owls as well.
I think what sums it all up is we all agree FAU should not be in the tournament. And we all know that all the slips, all the money, everything is going to be on Northwestern. So that's all the reason to take FAU.
Yeah, I think that's all the reason that I need. Colgate, the toothpaste, is going to take on Baylor. I heard somebody say that they've been auto fading Colgate every time they go into the tournament. I think they get outmatched athletically. This is a very bad matchup for them in terms of athleticism. 13.5 points is the spread here. I think Baylor could run this Colgate team off the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much here either. I just know that Colgate doesn't have the athleticism to hang with Baylor. It would be nice for Baylor to really run this one up, and perhaps we get an inflated line if New Mexico can take down
Yeah,
Clemson.
Right.
good point. Good point.
I'm looking at the next game, and I'm looking to back San Diego State -6.5. I don't see a lot of people going in on this one. I see a lot of slips on UAB, which is interesting to me. I'm not really sure why. I understand they played well in the American Athletic Conference. They're playing good basketball. I just don't see how they can match up physically with San Diego State. The San Diego State team just will impose their will. It might be a close game at the half, but San Diego State will salt this thing away, grind it down. I don't think UAB has the ability to score against this San Diego State defense. I am backing the Aztecs 100%, and I'm laying whatever the points are.
I'll ride with you with laying the points. I think that San Diego State certainly is the better team, and they're certainly gonna absolutely wear them down. I think this is a good money line piece to a parlay. I know Spread Inspector likes to put the money lines that are minus, 16, minus 21 and a half, but minus 6.5, I don't love that number, but I love San Diego State to win this game.
Well, this is the first one. I am starkly against you guys.
Wow.
This was the first 12 seed that caught my eye the minute I opened up the bracket. I like this UAB team actually. I think they have some different scoring options and some decent size inside. And I just remember early in the season, they start their season off with a 2-point OT loss to Bradley, a 1-point loss to Clemson. They beat Maryland. They beat Furman. They did mix a couple bad losses in there, but I think this team actually can play up to the competition. And speaking of which, I was looking on Evan Maya. This team's opponent adjust metric grades how well you play up or down to your opponents. This UAB team is just a glowing red bar because they play up to their opponents. I like this UAB team a lot. Probably the most confident 12 seed I have this year. I'm going to be playing on spread and money line.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Well, then I might flip here.
Yeah, I don't
Right?
know much about UAB on the inside. Can they do what New Mexico was able to do and affect Jaden Ledee? At least, New Mexico was able to do that in the first half. I know he went to the line a lot in the second half, but can UAB defend him on the inside?
Yeah, they've got some size. Well, not size per se, but they play physical. They play just a tough brand. I think they'll use their fouls. Um, Christian Coleman, why does that name sound familiar? Did he had to have played somewhere last year, I think. Where is he from?
Beats
Uh,
me.
Christian Coleman. Okay, he played at like some JUCO, so never mind. I'm off my shit right now. But yeah, I like this UAB team.
Hey, we've got a caller calling in, so I'm going to take this call.
Okay.
And good evening. You are now live on Voyage College Basketball Podcast. What can I do for you, sir?
What is this, dude? There isn't no live YouTube link, or is it just the host just captaining the ship? What the heck?
What do you got for us? Yeah, we just got we're old school here, man. We got phone up to the microphone. What you got any thoughts for us?
Yeah, big Lobos fan here. I'm assuming everyone's calling in asking about Lobo basketball elite or Sweet 16 run. Definitely taking down Clemson and Baylor, in my opinion.
All right, I think we're aligned with you on that. We're about to get into the Lobo first round matchup against Clemson. Thanks for calling in. We'll get to your points there. Yeah, so let's talk about that one as we're getting pretty close to it anyways. And then we can jump backwards. But New Mexico, Clemson, New Mexico -2.5, opened up at 1.5, steamed already towards the Lobos. Interesting. I saw a number, and 11 seeds that have been favored all time against 6 seeds are like something insane.
10
Like
and 1 straight up.
yeah, okay. So So there's that. I think the Lobos can affect PJ Hall down low the same way that they did Jaden Ledee. I think I hope Donovan Dent is healthy and fully ready to go. The way that this Lobo team played, as a team, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but um, guys just stepping up when we needed them to. Mashburn was bad for the first portion of the Mountain West tournament. I mean, he just was. He was a non-factor in the quarterfinal and the semifinal. He steps up big time, especially in the first half against San Diego State when they needed him to, when Donovan Dent was ill. JT Toppin came up with a few great offensive rebounds late in the ball game against San Diego State that kind of helped salt it away. Nelly Jr. Joseph, I think, can go toe to toe with PJ Hall as well too on the inside. And then the Clemson guards, Gerard and Hunter, I just don't think they play very good defense. And I think the Lobos have more skilled, better ball handlers to get past them. They'll make them look like traffic cones out there. I'm serious. I love the Lobos. I'm gonna piss pound them.
Yeah, I completely agree on the Lobos. They have the guard advantage. We have three of the best guards in the league. These guys were made for March. And I agree. I think we have some depth to throw at PJ Hall, especially, if anyone gets in foul trouble, they can switch Amzil on him, and Amzil can both guard him down low, but also step out on the perimeter and take away the three. So completely agree. Love the Lobos. Love the stats, the trends, everything. Go Lobos.
Listen, this is probably going to be the biggest wager I place in Las Vegas. With that being said, you guys have said everything and the reasons why we love this game. The problem, my worry I have, my slight little worry I have with this Lobos team is I followed them all year. I backed them all year. They're hot right now, so I'm going to ride it, but that comes crashing down quickly with this team. And I don't think it's going to be in the first round. I think Baylor might be a little bit too much for them, but stylistically, talent-wise, all the above. I mean, Joe Girard, the guy played 2-3 zone for 4 years. He has no idea how to play man-to-man defense, and now he's going up against Donovan Dent, Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn. He's going to get cooked. I love the Lobos. I love Richard Pitino.
All right, I'm glad that we're all aligned on that, and what we can start talking about second round matchups here in a bit. Let's continue to go down the line here. Marquette taking on a Western Kentucky club. Marquette is 14-point favorites. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've got nothing on this one. I have no idea what to expect from Western Kentucky, who comes out of the Conference USA. I haven't watched them all year. I haven't put eyes on them all year. I think the big question mark here for Marquette, though, and how deep of a run they can go on is the health of Tyler Kolek. I mean, I think that's what everybody's paying attention to. If he's not fully healthy, this could be a close ball game, and Marquette's going to struggle. I think, everybody, from what everybody says, and Shaka Smart says, he's going to be fine. He's going to be ready to go. That this Marquette team is decent even without him. I mean, they competed. They made a run all the way to the Big East championship game, but they're just not, good enough to get over that hump without his scoring ability. So I think that's the only thing I'm really looking out for there. You guys got anything on this one?
No, nothing.
Not in this matchup, but I like Marquette to go deep this year.
I think so too. Connecticut, Stetson. Stetson gets their first bid to the NCAA tournament. They get greeted by the defending champs, 26.5 points. Anything there?
Not really. My only thing is usually I feel like the ASUN champ was like a 13, 14 seed. I was kind of surprised to see Stetson as a 16.
Yeah, I think we watched them in that early conference championship game. Who did they play? They played they won in overtime. We were watching it while podcasting. I want to like this Stetson team a lot. 26.5 is a ton of points, but Danny Hurley in Brooklyn, New York, I'm staying away.
All right, Yale and Auburn. Auburn wins the SEC for the first time since 2019 when they went to the Final Four. They steamrolled through the SEC in an impressive fashion. Yale needed a buzzer beater to win Ivy Madness. Came down to the wire there against Brown, who hadn't been to the tournament since 1986. I think this Yale team is pretty good, and they have been pretty good throughout the year. This Auburn team is playing their best basketball of the year. The spread in this one is 12.5. I have no lean on the number here, but I really like the way this Auburn team is playing.
Listen, I respect the Ivy League a lot. I was big on this Yale team to begin this season, and I'm going to continue that. Give me Yale plus the points. Listen, big conference tournament winners do not fare well in the tournament. Auburn, there's no shot they don't cover this spread. There's no shot they lose. I'm just telling you, I'm serious. There's something special about the Ivy League, and this Yale team they're good. And the Ivy League was good this year. Better than people think.
Yeah, I got no leans there on the side. I kind of do think Auburn just maybe too hot right now. Janai Broom was unstoppable in the SEC tourney, and I don't know if that's a task that Matt Nolan or Danny Wolf is ready to step up for, but we'll see. I mean, their thing is that the Ivies, they always scheme something up. It's all about the X's and O's, so we'll see. But I think it's a tough draw for the Bulldogs.
This one is going to be a very interesting matchup between Texas A&M and Nebraska, the 8-9 matchup. Two contrasting styles. Texas A&M had a nice run in the SEC tournament as well. Nebraska played their way to the Big Ten semifinal as well. The semifinal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they, Tominaga is a guy that could be everybody's kind of darling in March, so to speak. But they're gonna have a tough task here. I think it's gonna come down to the glass in this one. Texas A&M's size just seems like a problem to me for Nebraska, but for those reasons, I like Nebraska.
Yeah, I do too, man. I think if they can get on a roll hitting threes, man, I've seen too many times this Texas A&M offense just can't get it going, especially against a pretty stingy Nebraska defense. I get a little bit worried about A&M's ability to keep up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, this might be a game where Erickson and I have a great, we get done with the New Mexico game. We're the highest of highs, and you could just flip a coin in this game if I'm being completely honest. I want to go with Buzz Williams, but I've had heartbreakers backing Texas A&M, so I'm in a real pickle here. It's a game time decision. Great game though.
Yeah, great game. And it opened up at 3 points for Texas A&M, which I think is good value if you got that. However, now with the line creeping down towards Nebraska, I like them on the money line. And then you'll get Vermont against Duke. Vermont's getting 11.5 points now. I think it opened at 9.5. Listen, for no reason, I think that Vermont can get the job done in this one. You call me crazy, call me whatever. I don't know what it is. It's just a gut feeling that Vermont might be able to do something here, compete in this ball game. It's a Vermont team that's gone under the radar because they're not as good as the Vermont teams from the past. But I don't know. Thoughts?
For some reason, Cam, I just had the same exact thought. I just looked at it and I said, I don't really see like a matchup angle or anything. I just think Vermont can win. Like everyone said, Duke was soft this year. Vermont isn't going to like try and out physical you, but at the same time, like Duke isn't just going to bully them. I feel like so. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
I felt the same way I feel that same way about Yale, and I feel that a little bit with this Vermont team, but I could see Duke dominating them in the first round and then having an early exit in the second round. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I don't think this is a great Vermont team.
Yeah.
I know, but that's kind of why I like them.
Right.
I think they lack post presence, but yeah, that's all I know about them.
This one's going to be interesting. It's Charleston against Alabama, two of the fastest paced teams in the nation. The total's at 173.5. Both teams could put up 100 points. Not sure how this is going to go. I liked Charleston going into this tournament. However, this is a bad matchup for them because they're going to have to try to keep pace with Alabama. I think Alabama's just more efficient offensively. 9.5 point spread in this one. Probably a stay away game for me.
I mean, I think this might be a game you have to bet the over.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a late tip, 6:30 tip, and As much of a bad matchup as it is for Charleston, it's kind of a bad matchup for Alabama too. They play a similar style, and we've seen Alabama like go through stints where they just don't make they're playing really good basketball, they're moving it really well, and they're just not making shots. Now they go on runs, sure, but if it's a situation where they're going on a slump and Charleston is just keep firing and they're going on a run, there's a reason why the line is at 9.5. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, correct. And then we have Longwood and Houston. I'm just telling you, Houston first half. I don't see how
Yeah.
Longwood scores, or maybe Longwood team total under. I just don't see how Longwood can possibly compete,
Yeah.
especially after the way Houston ended the Big 12 tournament.
Agreed.
James Madison in Wisconsin. James Madison's getting 5.5 points. This is a public underdog as well too here with James Madison, the 31 win Duke's team. Wisconsin played well in the Big Ten tournament, man. I don't know why everyone loves James Madison this one. I mean, I understand it, but give me something here. You guys got anything?
I like James Madison a lot, and I think they've been battle tested. This is a different 30-win team than McNeese State. James Madison is a much better team. This isn't a mid-major like St. Thomas. This isn't a mid-major like McNeese. This is a legit mid-major. This is a legit 30-win team. I'm not sure on Wisconsin's health. I'm not sure how well they can score the basketball. JMU has proven that they can go and win in tough environments. They went into Michigan State early in the year and won a game. There's a reason why this line is at 5.5. I don't care that the public is on this game. I'm going to be on this game. James Madison plus the 5.5.
Yep, I'm with you. I think, and this one is probably gonna be a public underdog, but it's a 12-5. It happens all the time.
Yep.
I like James Madison. I think they're athletic. They have some down transfers from Power Five schools, so like they have that talent capability and that ceiling. They play a completely different style from Wisconsin, which
Yeah.
could actually benefit them. But I think like maybe people had their questions about James Madison after they lost a couple games during the regular season, but the way they ran through their conference tournament told me everything I need to know. Like this team's pretty legit, so I'm probably going to take them, sprinkle a little money line, but I'll take them spread.
Right.
Am I wrong on
I
this?
think I'm with you.
Am I wrong on this, or did they lose twice to Appalachian State, who's a good team?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So 2 of their 3 losses are against one team that's a solid mid-major.
The next one is really interesting. Another 8-9 matchup between TCU and Utah State. TCU laying 2.5, 3 points. TCU's athleticism poses a matchup problem for Utah State in this one. I think if TCU can get out on the fast break, I think it could be a real crushing blow for Utah State in this one.
Yeah, I don't like the matchup at all for Utah State. I think TCU is gonna handle them.
I think this might be one of a bigger play for me too. I love TCU in this matchup. I respect what Danny Sprinkle did at Utah State, but he just established himself in the Mountain West is really all he did. And TCU plays a certain type of a brand of basketball led by Jameer Nelson Jr. That is just too much for Utah State. Away from Logan, Utah. That's where they play, right? Logan, Utah.
Correct.
Yeah, away from Logan, Utah. I like TCU a lot in this game.
And then we finish off with the nightcap on Friday night with Grand Canyon getting 5.5 points against St. Mary's. St. Mary's is going to try to grind the game down, slow down the pace here. This is a veteran Grand Canyon club who's not getting talked about a lot. Spread is interesting at 5.5. I don't know which way to go with this one. I like St. Mary's to potentially make a deep run in this one in the tournament, actually. Although I think they might be a little bit vulnerable in this spot. This is Grand Canyon has, they beat San Diego State earlier in the year. I understand that was a home game for them, but this one could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a 9 p.m. tip on a Saturday in like mid-December, I'm hammering GCU every time. Like I know they were really good down the stretch, but I think everything they do well, Grand Canyon does just as well. They rebound really well. They play good defense. And I actually think Grand Canyon has a little more firepower on offense. With I believe his name is something Grant Foster, and
Yes.
is it Rayshawn Harrison? They got some guys on that team. I like Grand Canyon. I think they'll keep this very close, if not pull off the upset.
Yeah, and I think Grand Canyon last year was a popular underdog pick. I think they were like a 15 seed, maybe. I could be wrong on that. But a player that was a stud, and he's back. And I think they're everything I've heard and read, and well, really just that's just what Erickson told me is that they're better than they were last year. So
Yes.
I like the play. Give me the +5.5. I don't think this St. Mary's team is that great by any means. I think they can win by two, sure, and maybe go on a little bit of a run, but St. Mary's is poised here.
Um, I want to go back real quick, just touch on one thing that I forgot to mention with one of these matchups. Ray, you're on the other side of us from this, but UAB against San Diego State. This is the only thing that concerns me here. One of the other things that concerns me here with UAB is that they just played all the way up until Sunday against Temple Club and won the American Conference, or was that on Saturday? Regardless, they fly from that was yesterday. That was Sunday. So they lost. They fly back to Birmingham for a couple short days, and they have to fly all the way out to Spokane, Washington for this
Mm,
matchup. That does concern me a little bit.
mm.
Yeah, that's a tough travel spot. It'll be up to the coaching staff to do what he needs to do to get those guys prepared and get them fresh. I hear UAB has one of the top athletic training programs in the nation. Just kidding, that is false. But yeah, I think they'll be ready to go. I mean, they have one day of rest on or the Aztecs have one day of rest on them. It's
Yeah,
March.
give or take.
If you don't bring it if you don't bring it in the damn tournament, then you don't deserve to win.
Correct. All right, we're getting a little long here. Let's do a speed round through the bracket here real quick and see if we can't put our minds together and come up with a consensus final four maybe. So let's start in the East region up at the top left of the bracket here. We got UConn advancing against Stetson. I think are we aligned? We're all aligned on Florida Atlantic, right?
Yep.
Yep.
We're 2-1 on San Diego State. So sorry, Ray, we'll have San Diego State advancing there. Auburn,
Yep.
Yale.
Auburn.
Okay.
Auburn.
BYU over Duquesne, Illinois over Moorhead.
Yep. Drake.
Drake over Washington State.
And then
And
Iowa
Iowa
State.
State over South Dakota State. Now let's run through the second round matchups there. UConn against Florida Atlantic. I think it could be a very tight game. Florida Atlantic's going to give them everything they have, but UConn and Brooklyn, they advance to the Sweet 16.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. San Diego State would take on Auburn in the second round. Intriguing matchup here, but Auburn's too hot for me. I like Auburn.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go San Diego State, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. BYU against Illinois could be a very fast-paced game, could be interesting, could be high scoring. I think BYU is too hit or miss from the arc. I think Illinois is more multifaceted. I like Illinois.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Drake, Iowa State. I know you guys might think Drake is live. I think Iowa State's going to suffocate him, though.
I would
Well,
hammer Drake.
I think Drake's live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Drake. All right, Drake's advancing then. So, then we have UConn and Auburn in the Sweet 16, which would be fascinating. Matchup would be in Boston. I'd go with Auburn. I think they're the hottest team in the country. Everyone's saying UConn's a lock. This is where I have UConn falling.
I got UConn.
Okay.
I don't trust the Auburn guards. UConn.
Okay. UConn to the Elite Eight then. And on the other side, we have Drake against Illinois. Another fascinating matchup in the Sweet 16. I think Drake would be live in that matchup.
I think this is where it stops for Drake.
Okay. Okay.
Gosh. Gotta have some nuts. I guess let's go Drake.
Okay, Drake
Damn.
against UConn. That's where it's got to stop, right? UConn.
Yeah.
UConn to the Final Four. Okay. Well, we did a good job there. We have Drake
Yeah.
going to the Elite Eight, the 10 seed. All right, I like that. Let's go to the South region. Houston over Longwood. I think we're
Yep.
aligned on Nebraska over A&M.
Yep. Fine.
Yep.
James Madison live over
Yep.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yep.
Duke advances.
Yep.
Texas Tech, I think we're all aligned on.
Yep.
Kentucky blasts Oakland.
Correct.
Florida against Boise State or Colorado, whoever it may be. One of our callers earlier mentioned that they've got Boise State advancing in that one. I think, unfortunately, Florida. Well, the injury that Florida suffered in the who was the guy that they lost?
Micah Hanlogden.
Yes, that's right. Is that a factor here?
Yeah, he's like a good mobile 7'2" guy. Yeah, it's a factor, but I mean, they have like two more guys that are 7 foot, like right behind him. It's insane. I like Florida.
Florida.
Okay. Florida and Marquette. So
Yep.
Florida Marquette, who you like in that one?
Florida.
Florida.
I'll take Florida. Kentucky, Texas Tech. I'll take Texas Tech.
Oh man, I'm taking Kentucky.
Kentucky. Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. James Madison against Duke. Is James Madison live in that one?
I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Give
I'll
me
take James Madison.
Yeah, give me James Madison. Fuck it.
Okay, Nebraska and Houston.
Houston.
Yeah, Houston.
Okay, so Houston, James Madison.
Houston.
Yep.
Houston.
That's where the Cinderella run ends for James Madison. And then we have Kentucky against Florida. SEC showdown in the Sweet 16.
Kentucky.
Florida.
Florida.
All right. Florida, Houston in the Elite Eight.
Houston.
Dude, I have a Florida future. I'm just going Florida. Cam, you can break the tie.
Okay, Houston.
Okay.
All right, let's move down to the Midwest. Purdue
Yes.
advances. TCU, I think we're
Yep.
aligned there. Gonzaga, McNeese. I think we all like it. Gonzaga, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Samford, Kansas. I like Samford.
Stanford.
Okay, we're all aligned on Samford then. South Carolina, Oregon. I know we're a little divided there. I'll break the tie. I'll go Oregon.
Okay.
Creighton, Akron. I like Creighton.
Yep.
Texas. Interesting matchup here. Whoever Texas faces between Virginia or Colorado State it could be similar styles with Colorado State. Virginia, if they win that one against Colorado State, could have some momentum, slow things down against Texas. I don't know. Either way, I've got Texas advancing. I think they're playing good hoop right now.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tennessee over
Yep.
St. Peter's. Tennessee, Texas. Fantastic matchup in the second round. I'll take Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I like the Horns to make a run.
Okay.
Ooh. All right, and then Creighton against Oregon. I like Creighton.
Great.
All right, and then Gonzaga against Samford. I'm going Samford.
I
You
mean,
can talk me into Sanford. Yeah.
yeah, pull my leg, Sanford.
Okay, TCU, Purdue. I think that could be interesting. TCU could be too much of too athletic for Purdue. I think Zach Edey's too much though. I like Purdue.
Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue.
Okay, Purdue against Samford. This is a matchup that happened earlier in the year. Samford gave up over 100 points. I've got Purdue.
They lost by like 45.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we would have Creighton against Tennessee. I'll go with man, see, this is exactly how I have my bracket going. And I, as much as I would love to see Purdue Creighton as a matchup in the Elite Eight, I've got to go with Tennessee.
All right, I'm outnumbered. I do like Creighton though.
All right, Tennessee, Purdue. I think Tennessee could get it done against Purdue.
I want to
Holy
say
cow, this would be the third 1 seed we have. Damn it.
I think it's pretty. Yeah, but we have. That's true.
We have some deep runs by teams, but it's hard to
Yeah.
get over.
It could
these,
be chalk. Listen,
where
it's
are
a
these-
weak tournament.
Yeah.
I think a one seed filled Final Four is not out of the question here. I'm
No,
not saying that it is. I'd like to see something different happen. Hopefully Tennessee can make a run. I'll pick Tennessee there.
I like Purdue.
Yeah.
I think Purdue, but if you want to go with Tennessee, that's fine.
Well, I like Tennessee. They faced in that Maui, right?
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, I'll say
Yeah,
Tennessee gets revenge.
that whole Midwest region is full of Maui, basically. It's Creighton, Purdue, I think Kansas, Tennessee, maybe even Texas. I don't recall exactly, but the Midwest region is basically Maui. Um, North Carolina,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Michigan State, I like Izzo.
Yeah, Izzo.
Fine.
Okay. St. Mary's, Grand Canyon. I think Grand Canyon might be live. Keep it closer. I got St. Mary's though.
I got Grand Canyon. Give me the
Yep.
Lopes.
All
Lopes.
right, all right. Alabama over Charleston.
Yeah, I think that one's gonna be a really good game. But yeah,
New
Yes,
Mexico over
Alabama.
Clemson.
obviously.
New Mexico. Yep.
Baylor over Colgate.
Yep.
Yep.
Nevada over Dayton.
Yep.
Yep.
Arizona over Long Beach.
Yep.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay. Okay.
Fine.
All right. And then Nevada, Arizona. I've got Nevada.
Nevada all day.
Nevada, yes.
Okay. New Mexico, Baylor. Fantastic matchup. Give me all of this on Sunday when I get home from Vegas. This is perfect. This is what I
Oh,
need. I
wow.
need to see this. This is gonna be a fantastic matchup. I got New Mexico.
Yep. New Mexico.
You're just gonna just for the record, I'm gonna go with Baylor here, so we're not all aligned. But I'm
Okay.
gonna be rooting for New Mexico, and I'm gonna be rooting for this game.
Okay.
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 Um uh Grand Canyon to Alabama.
Bama.
Give me Grand Canyon.
Dude, it's like playing out so similar to their San Diego to like what happened to San Diego State last year.
So
Well,
you're telling me,
that's
Erickson,
why I think
you didn't back Grand Canyon in the first round, but you're gonna back him in the second round?
well, I think if they get past St. Mary's, I think it could be an interesting matchup. Now, here's the deal. In my personal bracket, I have St. Mary's advancing against Grand Canyon, and I think that they could do exactly what San Diego State did to Alabama last year, where they grind it down, salt it away. I
Right.
think Alabama is in a tough spot either way here. Grand Canyon could keep up with Alabama in some respects, so let's go for the upset then. Sounds like you're on that. You like
Yeah.
that too, Ray? Okay.
Yeah.
And then Michigan State, North Carolina. I think it'll be a tight ball game. Izzo's always tough. I got North Carolina though.
Same.
Games in
Same.
Charlotte too.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have North Carolina against Grand Canyon, North
UNC.
Carolina.
No, North Carolina.
All right, and then New Mexico, Nevada, the Alfred Lobos Sweet 16 matchup. The New Mexico's first ever Sweet 16 appearance, and they get to face the Satan of Lobo basketball, Steve Alford. New Mexico gets it done, advances the Elite Eight.
Lobos Elite Eight.
Lobos. Lobos. Elite Eight.
Lobos, UNC. I got the Lobos.
I'm gonna have to go with the Lobos.
Lobos natty, I guess.
I think Lobos to the Final Four is a legit possibility if that's the way the bracket shakes up. I mean, I think really they could have a good matchup against North Carolina.
It's a weak region.
Yes.
It's hilarious because how hard would you laugh? Like, I don't know, because you, Johnny, you're not from New Mexico, but like Cam and I know you get in these bracket pools, and every year you look and there's someone who has like, this would be so New Mexico, 3 1 seeds and then the 11 seed New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. So then New Mexico would have faced their maker, I think, in UConn in the Final Four.
Yeah.
UConn would be too much for the Lobos in that one. So,
Give me the Lobos.
okay.
Just for the record, I'm taking UConn.
Okay. And then in the other side, we would have Tennessee and Houston.
Oh my God. This would be such a good matchup.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning to.
Tennessee against the Lobos in the championship?
No, okay, fine. I'll for the sake of transparency here, I'll take Houston over Tennessee. I think they could stifle them, but regardless, that puts up UConn and Tennessee as our championship game. I guess we're going with UConn as the repeat champs.
Yeah, if it really broke that way, I would lean UConn there.
And if that happens, I'll be waiting for my flowers because I said that in the preview, which conveniently everybody forgot about.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Well, that's a pretty good Voyage bracket there, if I do say so. We've got quite a few live underdogs, double-digit seeds making some nice runs. A little bit of chalk towards the end there. I have a hard time getting over the hump, mentally with this one myself, and it always is. When you fill out a
Yep.
bracket, where's the one seed gonna fall? But these one seeds, man, they're really good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and I
All
think
right.
I think like we said, it's a weak bracket. We had all these bid stealers. We don't even know if this is the best 68 teams in the nation, right?
Right.
Right.
So, or even close. So it's plausible you could see all four number one teams, which you could say every year, but I think this year specifically how it lays out.
Yes. Quick discussion here for you real quick. I know everyone's talking about the East as being kind of a gauntlet with all these teams who won their conference, Iowa State, Auburn, Illinois, all pitting up against UConn. Who's got the easiest path out of the one seeds? I think it's probably Purdue.
Yes. I
But
think so too.
if Purdue faces Creighton, if Creighton's able to put things together and make a run, that would be very interesting matchup in the Elite Eight. I would love to see that. But I think the Midwest region is the softest here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Although TCU would be a bad matchup in the second round for Purdue.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we sign off? I think we touched it all, man. That was awesome. We covered all the first round slates. All the first round spreads, and I'm just excited for this thing to tip off tomorrow and finally dive into this thing Thursday and Friday. So and we got to go through a bracket, put our heads together a little bit here. Spread inspector had to drop off for personal reasons, so he wasn't able to give his 2 cents, but that's fine. It made things easier just being three of us for the consensus picks there. Any other final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
I would say, Cam, I think you're planning, or someone is planning on tweeting out like our bracket challenge from the Voyage page. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes, we have been. Quick reminder for anybody that's still listening live or that listens to this podcast tomorrow or whenever you happen to be listening. The ESPN Tournament Challenge is up for Voyage CBB. The links are on our Twitter pages, and we would love to see you guys join in on that. No buy-in, no entry fee, nothing like that. We're just giving away some merchandise to whoever comes away with the top bracket, and we can try to replicate our Voyage bracket and put that in there, see how that stacks up against the rest. But that's always fun. So get in, put your bracket in there. I'm sure most everybody already has an ESPN Tournament Challenge bracket. Just throw it into our group, man. You get a chance to win some Voyage merch. So appreciate you guys for all your efforts all year long. We're just getting started. It's still March. We sleep in May. And I'm excited, man. I'm chopping wood and carrying water. We're ready to win.
Go
Absolutely,
Lobos.
absolutely, brother. We'll see you in Vegas.
All right. Peace out.